a nice lady, she got it. We had glossy pictures to show, and we circled this big one in red, our two-lane bridge. That they abused and used, if y'all remember when they widened 385 by putting a ramp down it, and the bridge is still all torn up. And Bridges Road needs to be widened. I'll quit. We're doing great. The bridge should be starting soon. The Swamp Drive Trail's coming. It's been wonderfully received by the general public. The 4-story building you see out there today, they're adding 2 more stories on top. They're starting, it'll be 6 stories total, that's it. And we couldn't be more fortunate to be in a better part of the country. Thank y'all, and I will turn it over to Jeff. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Phil. So it's great for me to be down here too. We've been in talks for about a year and a half, looking at Malden, talking to Van Broad and other leaders in Malden about would Malden make sense for a home for what we call Triumph's Forever Home. We play in a temporary stadium in Legacy Early College campus on the west side of Greenville, and it's a great facility, but it's on a school campus, and they need their fields back. And we're adding a new team this year. We're very proud to say that we are one of the first teams in USL to be adding a women's team. And we're huge proponents for girls and women and believe they deserve as much equity and sports participation as boys and men. So debuting this spring will be the Triumph women's team. It may not bear that name, but it'll be a Triumph branded entity playing under our umbrella. The stadium itself, I'm going to lean back, I hurt my foot a little bit, forgive me. The stadium itself seats about 8,100 in the design structure we have in it right now. It will be a premier United Soccer League stadium. It will be capable of all broadcasts. All of our games are broadcast on ESPN Plus nationally, internationally on YouTube around the world. And we think that, frankly, this will be a great showpiece for Malden on the sports scene nationally and internationally. And we think it's deserving because Malden is a world-class town. It's one of the fastest emerging cities in South Carolina. You all have so much to be proud of, maybe more than you know, for all, and I think you do know the plaudits you're getting for the progressive growth and the great leadership you have with your mayor and with council. And frankly, if not for that, we wouldn't be interested in coming here. We want to be where leadership is strong, where people want to grow in measured, thoughtful, careful ways. I care about your neighborhoods. We care about your neighborhoods. Forget me personally, but we care about your neighborhoods. If you were to go to City View, where we play right now, which is a largely minority neighborhood on the west side, and ask people, what kind of neighbors are trying? Joe Irwin's not in the room. None of his people are in the room. What kind of neighbors are they? I am confident they would tell you that Triumph has been nothing but a great neighbor. We've invested in their food pantries, helped with their churches. Anything we can do, we support the school, including scholarships for the school and mentorships for the school students, 91% of which are at poverty line or below, because we think that if we're going to play in their neighborhood, we've got to be part of the neighborhood. So that's, Phil talked about it. That's why I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm not scared to be here. I know some of you probably have a couple of challenging questions. I'll take them. If you got a shot, I'll take a shot too. I might turn my back, try and deflect one or two. But if I can't answer something, by the way, I'll be straight up with you and just tell you that I need to get back to you on it. We don't like to make things up. And with that, I'd be happy to open. Yes, ma'am. That's a great question. Thank you. Well, this speaks to what Phil talked about. And again, we want to do the right thing. One of my big concerns was when we first looked at a site, it was on top of Holland Road. And look, I know what it's like. I've opposed things in the past. I thought, it's right across the street from a neighborhood. I'm not sure the folks on the other side of Holland Road are going to want a stadium, 60 feet away. So we were looking up and Bill, if I get this wrong, you tell me I'm wrong, but we were looking at one time up in here. The stadium now is moving all the way to the opposite end of the development, right down here on the highway. And that way you are minimizing the sound overflow into the neighborhood environment. Same thing with stadium lights. And you've got the kind of the drum of the road noise will produce a lot of white noise. There was a headline in the Greenville News. I think the Greenville News might be here tonight. Hey, Caitlin. There was a headline in the Greenville News when we played our first match at Legacy Early College, and the headline had a quote in it from one of the neighbors in City View who said, "We love Triumph and their," in quotes, "beautiful noise." Because it is a festive atmosphere, it's a joyous game that we play, and we try to create and spread joy with the team. So we're looking down in here. We haven't worked out all the details yet, and that's why we didn't bring the diagram tonight. But that is the objective: stay close to the highway and not impact neighborhoods. Yes, ma'am.
I'm very familiar with that piece of land because we walk through it all the time. That little greenway that's existing there is small, so obviously it's going to go across the street from the current road that's right there. No matter how the footprint of the stadium is, the angle from that point up to Holland is still, no matter how joyous the sound, we're going to hear the noise at night, games are probably late afternoon, evenings, and the ambient light. So other than you're putting it down by the highway, what other methods are you going to restrict the lighting and sound?
Yeah, that's a fair question, and we don't have all the answers, okay? But one of the things we want to do eventually is build a canopy system. Those of you who know soccer stadiums know that usually there's a roof system. And what we often do with the roof system is you tuck the lights up in to the roof system, so the lights all go down, and you don't have what is called light bleed, which is light up into the air. Now, as it is, with the Musco lighting system that we plan to use, very advanced LED lighting system, they all point down. But ideally, we don't have the money in the first iteration of the planning to do the covered system at our budget level. Most of the new stadiums coming on board are between between 48, 50, and $75 million. We're trying to do this for 38.6. So we're going to do some things in phases, but that's the longer term things.
Well, when you're talking longer term, as Phil's development here takes years, so continuing the stadium in that fashion could be 5 to 10 years.
It could be, but I will tell you, we've already had discussions with the state. As you may know, the state is sitting on some big, big buckets of money right now, surplus money. The governor actually, I don't want to say he bragged about it, but the governor talked about it in his State of the State. I think, and somebody might know this better than I think he said there's a $7 billion surplus right now. And so we've talked to 2 members of the State House who said, we believe there's definitely a chance to get funding for a phase 2 growth. And that could happen, that could be starting as early as next year.
One more quick one. On that note of talking to the state and surplus, how much pressure, as Phil mentioned, is being done for the state to actually enlarge the bridge and put the double lanes in? You know, you're pushing for it, but what's the real feasibility of getting the state using
Well, I'll go first because I know this much, okay? I know that down here in Malden with leadership, there is a big push. The gentleman I know best in your government, with Brandon Madden and the mayor, yes, but also the first person I ever met down here was Van Broad. And I consider him to be one of the most honorable, decent people I've ever met. And Van told me that he's been pushing hard with DOT. I won't say every day, ma'am, I don't want to exaggerate, but they've got a major push with DOT to expand the Bridges Road and to work on the bridge. I don't know the time.
Joe, I might add on to a little bit. We met at City Hall of Malden with Christy Hall. She's the head of SCDOT, and her staff. And she was the one at the end asked if she could keep those pictures we had of all the other ones being four-lane bridges and not that one, and take it back to Columbia. She was very impressed. We met in downtown Greenville one time. Woody someone is the head commissioner of DOT. He's like the board that oversees Christie. Christie Hall is the head of DOT, and there's a board above it, and Woody is the chairman of the board, was at that time. And he not only talked about Bridges Road, but talked about relief of Woodruff Road to come through Bridges Road and how awful it doesn't connect. It could connect better further out there and give some true relief to Woodruff by having a better road of bridges. Unfortunately, it's not like every day, because we don't do it every day, that we all call SCDOT to follow up. But the last leg of it is talking briefly with Lindsey Graham and at some length with William Timmons. They are prepared. They would like to be sure there's no problem with the interstate highway system, if anything. And the interstate has to get involved with the state. But if the official list, I'm not going to be sure that I remember everything, is 2030 or 2035, they have it on their official list of bridges to be widened. Those lists don't mean a lot to me because I'm old enough to have seen so many others. So the reality of it is, I think, and y'all can help by contacting Malden, William Timmons, Lindsey Graham, anybody, and writing, this really needs. It's strange in my lifetime how an individual like myself can get lucky and make a little bit of difference here or there. But the power of people far outweighs my one vote because the politicians want to listen to the voters. And the more of you that can write and urge that, the sooner it will happen. Don't think that your contact, your representative, doesn't matter. And they get form letters all the time. If you handwrite something or something, it makes a difference. So please help.
Can I come back to your question for just a moment, please? The other thing to consider, too, is, about traffic. And I was asking about traffic coming in here. And it's a good question, a reasonable question. One of the things we did, that I personally did, after hearing and seeing the traffic studies that were commissioned for Bridgeway Station and for Malden, is I called the woman who authored the traffic study, Gay Sprague, who coincidentally is a former Greenville City Councilwoman. Her engineering company did that traffic study. And I got an opinion from Gay just to say, hey, what can you tell me? I'll get asked about traffic implications of this stadium. And I was taken to school a little bit about traffic and how DOT evaluates traffic. A stadium is considered intermittent. That's the term they use, intermittent in usage, and therefore is not an impact on traffic and in a traffic impact study. And the reason for that is logical. We all know that peak traffic is in the hours of, let's say, 7 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock in the morning. That's a very heavy period. Starting at 4:30 in the afternoon, it's actually around here maybe a little earlier, right? You all know, I've been here a little earlier than 4:30 and going through to about 6:30, even 7 o'clock. That we don't play then. Yeah, we play typically on Saturday nights at 7 o'clock. And when you think about late night, are we going to be an impact on late night noise? I will tell you, I'm a baseball fan. I've been a Drive fan, season ticket holder my whole life. That's silly. Since they built the stadium, Ford Field, downtown Greenville. And one of the things we saw is, with baseball and some other sports, overtime, extra innings, games can go really late and long. Soccer, if you're not familiar, doesn't happen. It's 2 hours and it's done. So 45-minute half with a running clock doesn't stop for anything, even injury, they just keep playing. And then they will add, what they call injury time, maybe 2, maybe 3 minutes at the end of the first half. And then the second half, a 15-minute halftime, 45-minute running clock, and they do the same thing. And we play a tie. We don't have overtime. The only time you see at our level penalty kicks that carry extra time is if it's a championship game or playoff game. So that, I really considered when I bought the franchise, frankly, I thought, I'll be honest with you, I don't like going, I'm a huge Clemson fan, and, I like pro football and some other things, love going to Braves games in Atlanta, but man, maybe I'm getting too old. I can't, expose myself to 3.5, 4 hour competitions. You give me a 2-hour thing, and that's very manageable. So that's just a couple of add-ons for me. Yes, and then I've got you over here.
This is actually probably more for you. I was at the original meeting back in September of 2018. I still have notes on my phone. The girl who was conducting that meeting.
She's here.
Okay.
Gary?
No.
She really didn't know a lot how to answer questions. So, y'all are going to get this zone for an urban district development, right? Okay. What's going to change from that? Because I understand renditions change, but I saw the original renditions. It was supposed to look like an old train station, a clock tower.
No.
Well, that was back then. I don't see that looking like this now. Is that
It's a clock tower.
okay?
It's a train station.
Okay. And I couldn't tell the train station.
Okay.
Because they always said there would be an amphitheater, a movie theater,
Well, the movie theater is a little harder after COVID.
grocery store.
Grocery stores are too many on Woodruff Road. We're too close. We're still working on some more smaller things.
Okay.
Shit, something else I'm coming on.
The amphitheater. There was always talk about that.
We
Which was going to fit.
have more than one, but it's not the same market as we go.
Right.
We changed architecture and we changed the tenants we were wanting.
Okay. And so here we go. Back to the top.
Mic check 1, 2. You guys got us? Yep.
Right, I know.